Namaskar, I'm Harpreet Kaur and I welcome you all to our live and interactive session. You are watching us on PM eVidya channels 6, 7 and 8 and also on our YouTube handle NCERT Official. This is our 7-day, 7-hour online training program on integration of virtual labs for teaching, learning and assessment at the middle stage. Today we are in day 6 of the training session and the topic that we have taken up is virtual lab for science. Well, we all know that science is a subject which has lots of abstract concepts and it's quite complicated for many. But through laboratory experiences, through lab-based education, we try to make the subject easier. But when it comes to virtual environment, what all additional features we are getting here that is making everybody learn sciences in a totally different manner. So we will be talking about the same because middle stage schooling is a very crucial stage where you bridge the gap between the middle stage education and the higher education. So if you wish to participate in the session, please note down the session is live and interactive and here are the details. Our phone number is 8800440559. We also have a dedicated email ID for you, that is diksha.training@cit.nic.in. And since we are streaming live on our YouTube handle NCERT Official, you can always go to the live chat box or the comment section, put in your questions there and get in touch with us instantly. Now, as you all know, it's a training program, so there is going to be an assessment as well. So assessment courses will be released on CIT website. How you can attempt them, we will share all the details with you by the end of today's session. But before that, it is also important to note that you have to watch all sessions very carefully if you wish to score more than 70% in your assessment, because only then you will be granted a certificate. Now it's time for me to introduce you all to my guest for the session. Yes, Virtual Lab for Sciences, and for this I'm joined by Miss Nidhi Tuli. Ma'am, namaskar and very warm welcome to the session.
Thank you.
And let me tell everybody that ma'am is Senior Academic Consultant from CIET NCERT. With her, I'm going to take this session forward and of course I have a lot of questions. You must be having a lot of questions too. So let's start with the very first question that I have in mind for today's session. Ma'am, when we talk about science education, I want to understand from you, what are the focus points of science education, especially at the middle stage schooling?
Okay, so when we talk about science education, when we say that teacher is going to teach science concepts, so what exactly should be taken care of? First of all, what usually happens, I should start from that.
Yes.
So what usually happens is teachers tell the concepts, teachers tell. They don't discuss, they don't interact, they don't focus on developing. The most important thing is scientific temper.
Yes.
So they just tell the facts, they just give the information, or definitely many of them, they try to make students understand scientific concepts. But the most important thing is, when we are studying science, we should develop scientific temper. Meaning of scientific temper is that you are able to question the information given to you.
Yes.
What usually happens is, we get the information and we don't question, we just accept the information. So if we are able to question, if we are able to think about that, why this is happening, if this information is there, why is it happening, how is it happening? So if we are able to think logically, then only science education is correctly taken.
Yes, the
taken
purpose
care
is
of.
being served of teaching sciences. Yes,
correct. So that's why the focus point is development of scientific temper. If you are if the learners are able to think logically, if they are able to ask, if they ask you, most of the time they ask you why this is happening, how this is happening, rather than simply just listening to what you are saying, then actually the purpose is getting served and they are getting the benefit of studying science.
Right.
So that's one of the most important focus point. Then the next thing is, we are not only required to tell the information to them, but we should help them to relate it with their surroundings, with the world around them. Because when they'll relate the information, they'll be able to understand it better and they will remember it on their own. They will not even require to remember.
Yes.
they just understand it very easily, very naturally. Like
Yes.
for example, if a teacher is talking about eye, human eye. So in human eye there are different parts. So there are one of the parts is pupil, another is iris. So if you are only showing it in a diagram, if you are only telling the structure of iris, structure of pupil, but you are not relating it with the situations
Yes.
they encounter. For example, every child loves to go outside and play. Yes. So when a child goes out and in the park, in the garden, and what first of all the child experiences is that the child is not able to see properly in the bright sunlight, so for few seconds, and after some time the child is easily able to see everything. So how that happens? There actually the pupil and iris, they work. So whether the teacher is relating it with the situation or not, then teacher can also say that when you come back home, then you are unable to see properly because the light is dim. So how pupil and iris act to make you see clearly within few seconds.
Absolutely.
So here the teacher is not only telling the information but relating the information with the surroundings, with the real world.
Yeah.
And if that is done, then definitely students will be able to remember everything very easily, and they will start thinking about new examples on their own. So we are actually helping them to think on their own just by giving few examples. Then like I was talking about that how science education should be imparted. So in that definitely teachers are the most important individuals. So they should act as a facilitator. They should provide the opportunities to children to so that they explore
Yes.
their surroundings, so that they can inquire. If a teacher is telling please don't ask silly questions and let me complete, then definitely students will not
Demotivating.
yes,
Yeah.
they will not prefer to ask questions
Yeah.
even if they want to. And if they want to understand, so we should allow them to inquire, we should allow them to explore, and none of the question is silly actually.
Yes.
So it's all about how they are exploring, how they are thinking. So teachers should provide such kind of activities, should, should engage in such activities so that students will start thinking rather than just taking the information.
Absolutely.
Along with that, assessment plays very important role. In earlier times and even till now, although according to NEP 2020, competency-based assessment should be followed. But if we notice, even till now, the questions are majorly focused on what? Yes, not on why and how.
Yes.
So they are more into knowing the facts rather than getting to know whether the student has understood the concept, whether the student is able to analyze, apply.
True.
So all these things should be focused.
Absolutely.
So that's why competency-based assessment should be followed in science education rather than just rote, just getting to know whether the child has learnt the information or not.
Yes.
Then to make all that happen, we should provide hands-on learning opportunities. We should follow experiential learning. If you experience anything, you remember it naturally. You remember it automatically. You do not require to. You do not require to think. You do not require to specially give time to remember information. You automatically remember because you have experienced it. So that is what, if you have done something, you will remember it. So that's why hands-on activities like in virtual labs also, as we are here for virtual labs session. So in virtual labs also you will get to know that children get the chance for hands-on learning.
Yeah.
And they understand the experiment and the concept in a better way because they are doing the experiment on their own. So that should be focused, should be emphasized. And the last thing is that innovative teaching methods and technologies should be used. So one of them is definitely virtual labs, and there are other tools also, digital tools, digital resources which should be utilized because there are many concepts which we cannot show them directly.
Yes.
We don't have anything to show in reality. So if we require them to imagine, then we should help them, because otherwise if we have not given any information, how will they imagine? So in that case, digital tools, resources, they actually help.
Yeah.
And students are able to imagine, able to think and understand. So all these things should be taken care of while teaching concepts of science.
Right. You have actually, presented a clear distinction between what is happening and what should happen when it comes to teaching of sciences. Of course, development of scientific temper and aptitude is extremely necessary. Questioning what, when, why, how. It's all important, because otherwise, how would you ignite the curiosity among the students that they want to learn new thing? And then real life applications are equally important. Otherwise, they will just become rote learning for examination purposes.
Yes.
They won't be absorbing anything, and the concept will not stay intact in their memory forever.
Correct.
Which we do not want here.
Yes.
Now, learning sciences, of course, it is something that is happening to us in our surroundings. Everything is a science,
Yes.
and therefore we must relate every concept to it. But there are certain challenges, because I remember as a kid, my teachers were following chalk and duster method. You said you draw a diagram of eye. It's a 2D diagram, and you lose interest. Okay, what is that? I just have to draw, and I was not even good at drawing. So what I want to ask you is that what kind of challenges generally learner face when it comes to learning of scientific concepts at the middle stage schooling?
Okay. So there are multiple challenges which are faced, not by each child, but many of the learners. So one of the most important thing, if we talk about, because we are talking about laboratory experience, so one of the important thing is many schools, especially in rural areas, they lack adequate facilities, they lack equipment, they lack resources.
Yes.
So even if resources are there, they are in less quantity. Even if equipments are there, they are either outdated or not maintained properly. So they are not, learners are not getting chance to experience how experiments should be performed and what's the purpose. If they are not getting the chance to perform, they will never understand the purpose of
Yes.
experimentation. So that is one of the major challenge which many learners are facing. Then another one is the shortage of qualified teachers. There are teachers, but in many areas, in underserved areas, in rural areas, the teachers have not got sufficient training. Because they have not got sufficient training, that's why they follow the rote learning method. They just follow the textbook, whatever is given in the textbook. They don't think outside
the
the
box,
textbook.
yeah.
And they just try to make children learn the things, because they have not got trained on utilization of digital resources and how virtual labs can be utilized. We are trying to give that training to each teacher, but because of that, the children are not getting the experience, because the teachers are unable to, not every teacher, and they are also not at fault because they have not got that training, because of which even if they are capable of, they are unable to deliver the way it should be. Then another challenge is overemphasis on rote learning, as I just talked about assessment. So in that case, we already said that rote learning is even till now given a lot of emphasis. So because many people have not understood the concept that why thinking logically is so important. So first of all, we have to understand that just remembering the facts is not sufficient. We should be able to think, we should be able to question. If we are questioning, we are not rebellious. We are just thinking, we are utilizing our mind.
Yes.
And the more we utilize our mind, the better we become.
Sharper it becomes also,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. So that's why that is also one of the challenge. If we are overemphasizing on rote learning, it is not at all a positive thing. It is a challenge. Then next, along with, means when we are talking about rote learning, automatically it's about that there is lack of relevant learning. If you are just giving the information, if we are not making them understand the things, if we are not taking their questions, if we are not answering their curiosity, that means the learning is irrelevant. It is just mechanical. So that is actually happening in most of the schools, and that should not be should not happen. And one more challenge is psychological barriers and science phobia. So many people, in fact most of the people, think that science and maths are the most difficult subjects. This is what they think, but it's all about whether you are trying to understand, whether it is taught correctly, and you are trying to understand then each subject becomes very easy.
Very easy,
So none of the
interesting
subject is difficult.
Yeah.
Each subject is interesting. It's all about how it is being taught and how much interest you are taking in
Yes.
studies. And definitely, if multiple activities are utilized, if students are engaged in multiple activities, they will automatically be interested in learning. Even if they think that they are not interested in learning, activities will make them learn on their own.
Yes.
So that's the beauty of hands-on or experiential learning. So all these are the challenges which many learners face, and we hope that over the time all these challenges will be overcome and they will get the chance to study the way it should be.
Absolutely, and what a wonderful point you mentioned, that continuous professional development of teachers is extremely important, because unless and until they are well versed with the equipments and tools, how will they be able to impart the knowledge that they intend to?
Yes.
And of course, children, they learn the things in a very gamified manner. So we need to engage them, we need to immerse them in any concept that they are learning. That's how we can make them learn things efficiently. Now, we talked about challenges. I want to understand, because we're focusing on virtual labs, how do you think that these challenges are being overcome with the help of virtual lab at the middle stage schooling? What exactly virtual lab is doing here?
Yes, definitely. Many of the challenges can be tackled with the help of virtual labs. So one of the way how virtual labs are helping learners and teachers is that the concrete concepts, we are able to understand the concrete concept because it is in front of us. But
Yes.
when it's about abstract thinking, then it becomes difficult because we do not have anything to show to learners and we expect them to imagine. So virtual labs help in that case. Virtual labs help in visualizing the complex concepts. So easy concepts can still be taught because if it's about concrete thinking, but the difficult concepts like liquid pressure. So if I tell you that the more the liquid, the greater the pressure, the lesser the liquid, the lesser the pressure. If I write it on the board, will the learner be able to understand?
Never.
They'll not. But if I'll show an experiment,
Yes.
so I hope they will definitely understand.
Yes.
So to make you clear that how virtual labs help in understanding complex concepts very easily, let's go to Diksha Virtual Labs.
Sure.
So I'll take you there. So for that, first of all, what you have to do is, you on any browser, you just need to write Diksha.
Okay.
And here you can see this is Diksha homepage. When you scroll down, here you can see focus areas of Diksha. So here multiple verticals are there. I'm clicking
Okay.
to scroll it, and here we have virtual labs.
Okay.
So when we scroll down, we can see that all the classes are there. Explore icon is there. You just need to click on the explore icon and reach the experiment which you wish to. So I'm taking you to the experiment about which I was talking, liquid pressure.
But before you talk about the experiment, I want to understand, do we need to sign up before reaching the simulation?
Yes. You need to register yourself. You need to sign up. I'll talk about it when we'll be discussing Diksha courses.
Sure.
At that time, I'll explain you the entire process.
Right.
So let's come back to the experiment, that is liquid pressure. So before going to the simulation, the teacher can tell students to go through this, or can explain what is given. Like here, this is the entire experiment given. That is the NCERT lab manual PDF. Then you can further study about it in the theory section. You can read all the steps which are required to be performed. Then only you will be able to perform the experiment. So
Right.
you must read all these things.
Okay.
And if you wish to, you can go through the video. So you will not require to even read the procedure. You can go through the video and you will see that how the experiment is being performed. So you can do that through video or animation. Now let's go back to simulation. So here you can see, I'll just maximize it. So we were talking about liquid pressure. We were talking about that the more liquid is there, the greater the pressure. So let's see whether you will be able to understand.
Sure,
or not.
why not?
So here you can see there is an help icon. So on any experiment, if you wish to perform, if you have not read the procedures, still you can perform the simulation by clicking help icon. It will show all the steps one by one you can perform, and you can easily understand the concept. So I am showing here there are 3 bottles, and we need to select the position of hole in the bottle, because we are talking about liquid pressure, how liquid is, with how much pressure liquid is coming out, that we are going to see. So first, for first bottle I have selected top position, for the second bottle middle position, and for the third bottle bottom position I have selected. So you can see these black spots here. So these black spots are showing the position of the hole. Now I am just closing these holes first of all, and now we have to pour liquid. You can see this is very easy experiment, and just by this simple experiment you are understanding one of the very important concept, that is of liquid pressure. So we are filling all the 3 bottles one by one.
And how interesting it is.
Yes.
Fill it as many times as you want.
Yes, you can perform multiple times also the same experiment. Now it is supposed to be, the next step should be remove sellotape. We have removed. Now you can see above the hole, in the first bottle, above hole there is less water. That's why the liquid is coming out with less pressure. In the second bottle, the quantity of liquid above the hole is more. That's why it is going farther. And in the third bottle, the position of the hole is bottom. Is at the bottom, and that means it had a lot of water above the hole, and that's why if you notice the water was going the farthest.
Yes.
So this is how it is explaining the concept of liquid pressure. So we started with just writing about liquid pressure, just telling that the more the liquid, the more the pressure. But I hope now you must have understood what I was saying.
Yes, very clearly, and I can relate it to one real life thing also, that we are using every day, the water tanks on our roofs, you know. Somewhere we are using this concept of liquid pressure because we are placing them at the higher position, see the position of the tap, where it is and how much water you're filling, and that's explained totally the kind of pressure you get every day in your bathrooms. Anyway.
So I want to relate with what you have just said, that for today or tomorrow before bathing, just notice if your tank is full, whether the water is coming out with full speed or not. And in the evening, when the tank is comparatively less, is having less water, then check the pressure of water. So all of us will try that.
Absolutely.
And we will see how the liquid pressure is affecting the flow of water.
Yes, certainly. And I think these are very important points that you've mentioned in your slides. And there is one more slide regarding this virtual lab and the use of the middle stage. I think it contains some more information for us.
Yes. So I just wanted to continue that. I just got excited by the experiment we
Same
just did.
here.
So see how exciting it can be. I have performed it so many times, but now when I was discussing with Harpreet, I got even more interested in the same concept which I already studied and demonstrated multiple times. So this is the beauty of discussion, interaction. So this is what is required to be done by the teachers with the students. So everyone will enjoy learning at that time by doing this.
Absolutely.
So another way how virtual labs can help children in the middle stage is equalizing the access. As we talked about, that there is lack of infrastructure, they do not have sufficient resources or equipments. So even if they do not have the physical lab, or if they have physical lab, virtual labs is useful for every learner. So if you do not have physical lab, you still get the chance to perform experiment here. How you have just seen how you can perform experiment, and the feel is still the same. You are still the same excited, the way you get excited in the physical lab when you perform experiment. So, but if you have physical lab, then also virtual labs are very helpful for you, because you do not get the chance to repeat the experiment in the physical lab because of the because less time is allotted for the periods. So
Less time, less resources, lot of student strength is there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, because it cannot be repeated, any
Yes.
experiment cannot be repeated after once it is done. So, that can be done in the virtual labs. So, you can repeat as many times as you wish to. You can answer your queries. You can satisfy your queries, or many queries may arise which you can ask later on with your teacher. So, all that can be done with the help of virtual labs.
And you can
What
control the
else?
environment also.
Yes, you can. There are variables which can be controlled, and there are multiple materials which can be utilized in the case of virtual labs.
True.
Because in case of physical labs, you cannot perform the same experiment with different, for example, different plants or different seeds, because of the limited time allotted for the period. But in case of virtual labs, you can perform experiment with all the materials which are given in the laboratory, virtual laboratory. So, next thing is this promotes student-centric learning because it is self-paced. So, because you get the chance to perform the experiment at your own pace, you do not require to speed up. You can stop at different steps. So, to understand this thing, I'll show you one of the experiments.
Okay.
That is from chemistry. That is from chemistry. So, I'll show you this. This is a very simple experiment, but for middle stage students, they may want more time to understand. So, this experiment is about separate 3 components from iron, sand and common salt. So, there is a mixture here. You can see there is a petri dish in which all the 3 are mixed with each other, and the child is supposed to separate all of them. So, that means there will be 3 ways. There are 3 components, so there will be 3 ways to separate these components. So, child may require to think and understand each and every method slowly or at her own pace or at his own pace. So, there are multiple things involved in one experiment. So, few children may able to understand it very quickly. Some may require time. They stop at every technique. So, that is not possible in the physical lab, but definitely possible in virtual labs. So, how that can be done and which 3 techniques are there? Let's explore. So, here you can see. Again, there is help icon. You can click on help icon and get to know the steps. I am directly performing the experiment. Here you have magnet. I am dragging it. So, this is for iron fillings because magnet attracts iron. So, out of the mixture, what is separated? Iron is separated. So, there is information icon. Here you can read the same thing. The magnet separates iron fillings from the mixture of salt, sand and iron. So, one thing is separated. Now, let's do the next step. So, child may first of all perform this and may think about it, that what exactly is happening. Some children may think about, chalo, let's quickly perform the second step. But some may think about that, what exactly happened? Why magnet attracted iron? Why magnet did not attract sand
or salt?
So, every child has different kind of thought process. So, they may be thinking in different directions based on the curiosity level. So, that's why they require time to do all this, and they get ample time, infinite time in case of virtual labs. So, let's get back to the experiment. So, here for the second technique, we will put this mixture in the beaker, then we'll put water. We have to mix it.
Okay.
So, we have mixed it. Now, the next icon is there. We have to keep the funnel, fold the filter paper, put it over the funnel and then just filter it. So, the second technique is filtration, and by filtration what is separated? Sand is separated. So, sand gets collected on the filter paper. So, now student may think that why salt? Salt is also solid, salt is also powdery, then why it did not stick with the filter paper? Why only sand stayed above the filter paper? So, again some children will just quickly jump to the third technique and some will start thinking about it. So, it's all about self-paced learning. So, the next step is we will take this leftover, we will put it on the tripod stand, switch on the burner.
Evaporated.
Yes, water got evaporated and you can see that there are white spots. So, what are those white spots?
Salt crystals,
So here you can see the same is given here. The salt is separated by the process of boiling. So we have used 3 techniques,
Yes.
and we have separated all the components from the mixture very easily. So just by sitting at home, you are able to think that how all that can be done, and they can try it at home also. After doing this, they can easily try with
Yeah.
at least salt. Yes.
Yeah.
So they can put salt in water and they can put it on boiling and check whether this is happening or not.
Yes,
So
because you're right, because they're not just learning about the separation techniques, they're learning also what is happening behind the scenes. As you
Yes.
mentioned, why iron got attracted to magnet, why salt was not accumulated in the filter paper,
yes,
because
yes.
it is soluble in water, I guess.
So they are able to think. We were talking from the beginning. We are just talking about
Yes.
thinking. So virtual labs help students in thinking about each and every concept they are studying, and thinking is the most important part of learning. Yes.
Yes.
So
Certainly.
let's get back. So we were talking about this, that self-paced learning. Along with that, virtual labs encourage curiosity. Although you have already felt that
Yes.
curiosity in the previous 2 experiments,
Yeah.
but we can still feel the same by the 3rd experiment. So
Okay.
the 3rd experiment is from biology. So all of us know of, since at least since 6th standard, we get to know that photosynthesis occurs,
Yes.
and starch is produced. So can we see that starch is produced?
I've always imagined it, but
Yes.
now I'll see it.
Yes. So I can't show you the molecular structure of starch in this experiment because this is for middle stage. So we will not go in that much depth. But yes, we can show the presence of starch
Yeah.
by using particular indicator.
Okay.
So how that experiment can be performed, that we will see. So let's go to another experiment. So here the experiment is, you can see there is a link of the experiment. I have clicked on this link and I have reached at this experiment. So each experiment has theory, procedure, video, self-evaluation. All these are included in each and every experiment. But I am directly jumping onto the simulation because here we are for learning by doing.
Yes.
So I want each learner gets the idea that how by doing experiment in the virtual labs they learn concepts very easily, and they get even more excited.
True.
So here you can see we have so many equipments. Again, there is an help icon. Why I am highlighting this, because it will definitely going to help you when you will be performing experiment. And it's not necessary that you belong to class 8, so you are only required to perform experiment of 8th. Out of curiosity, you can go to class 6th, 7th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. It's all up to you. No one is going to restrict you. In physical lab, you are restricted. You can perform experiments only of the class
You are
to
in.
which you belong. Yes, you cannot touch the equipments, you cannot touch the
Yeah.
resources which are utilized in higher classes.
Yes.
But in case of virtual labs, you are just released free. You can perform any experiment which you wish to. But right now in this session, I am only going to show you the experiments related to middle stage only.
Sure.
So, but with the help of help icon, you will be able to perform each experiment. So let's come back to this experiment. Here we have forceps and we have leaf, and there are 2 solutions, iodine and spirit. So first of all, we have taken the leaf and we have put it in the test tube. Then we have to open spirit, we have to pour it, then we are going to heat it. So by that the leaf will become colorless. But starch is still there. The leaf is green, that shows that it must be able to perform photosynthesis, because it photosynthesis occurs in the chlorophyll, with the help of chlorophyll. Now I am going to switch it off and we are going to take out the leaf and we will just put it in water to wash it. We have taken the leaf again and we will just put it in the petri dish, and what we are doing, we are putting iodine.
Okay.
So iodine, the color of iodine is actually orangish, yellowish orange, but here you can see it has turned blue black.
Yes.
So the color turns blue-black only when it combines with starch.
Okay.
If starch would not be there, the color would have still remained orangish yellow.
Okay.
So the color change indicates that there was starch produced in this leaf because of photosynthesis. So here, as I said, that we are not going to see the structure of starch because it is not in the scope of middle stage,
Yes.
but we can see the presence of starch. So by clicking here on the eye icon, the color of colorless leaf turns blue-black. So it has indicated what we are observing, and I have explained that why blue-black color appeared and what it is indicating. It is indicating presence of starch.
Yeah.
So we have performed 3 experiments, one from physics, chemistry, biology, encompassing science. So all these experiments we have performed. So by this, definitely you must have understood that how virtual labs actually helpful for learners.
Yes.
But not only for learners, as we said that teachers have not got sufficient training, because of which they, even if they wish to, they are not able to utilize the digital resources or online resources. So here the virtual labs and the trainings which we are providing, they are helpful for all the teachers to understand the importance of laboratory experience, how virtual labs are supplementing laboratory, physical laboratory, if it is not there or whether it is there, and how it can be integrated in the teaching learning process, where exactly. So it is not only supposed to be integrated in the practical classes, but in theory classes as well. We have discussed it many times earlier also, that the concepts which we study in theory class and practical class are same. So we can include virtual labs in theory classes also to make children understand or introduce the concept.
So this is not just teacher centric but also learner centric, and there's so many benefits that we have derived by performing experiments in virtual lab repeatedly. Accessibility is there, also there is no crunch of time, you can use it at your own pace, and especially those students who are not into conventional schooling, even they can perform experiments and they can develop a keen interest in sciences. Now let's talk about the cognitive benefits that learners get by performing experiments on virtual lab. What are those?
So till now, whatever we were discussing, directly or indirectly, we were talking about benefits.
Yes.
But to sum up or to emphasize them, here we are going to talk about that why, how virtual labs are benefiting students. So first of all, it is enhancing conceptual understanding, because we have just seen experiment like liquid pressure. So there we were talking about complex concepts can be understood very easily. So by that only you have understood that simulations help students understand the concepts very easily.
Yes.
And even in one go they'll be able to understand the major crux of the concept. And because repeated experimentation is possible, so all the queries are answered by performing the experiments through virtual labs. Then another point, another benefit is that students are able to think critically. Like we have talked about one of the experiments which is of photosynthesis, which is done in the middle stage. But if we go to the higher class, like in 10th standard, again you have an experiment on photosynthesis. You can visit on virtual labs class 10 science and you will see another experiment on photosynthesis, and the experiment is performed in a different way and higher, giving you higher information, deeper information. So there you get the chance to explore. As we know that photosynthesis occurs in the presence of sunlight.
Yes.
But does it occur in the presence of artificial light also? In the sunlight, sunlight is white light. White light means combination of all the 7 lights which makes eVidya. So whether the blue light has a different impact, whether the red light has different impact, so whether different lights have different impact or not, that can be studied or that can be asked to students before performing the experiment. So when we are just about to perform that experiment, we can ask students to find out whether they are able to think or not. That according to you, should white light have major impact, or blue light, or red light, or green light? So different children will have different answers, and then we will perform the experiment, and then they'll get to know So what we are doing, we are giving them chance to hypothesize. They are making hypothesis. Then they are performing the experiment, and after performing the experiment, they are gathering the information. They are recording the data. Then they are analyzing the data. That why in the blue light photosynthesis, photosynthetic rate is higher. Why not in white light? Why not in green light? So they are analyzing the data, they are drawing conclusions that okay, out of all the different colors of light, blue light and red light has major impact, and they can find out the reason also why. So they get the chance to think critically.
Yes.
Then as you have seen that when we were performing experiments, we were motivated to learn. So when we know that when we are engaging in activities, whether there is a child or an adult, anyone who engages in activity, they get more interested in that thing. So that's why virtual labs increase motivation, because they give the chance to learners to get engaged in the learning process. The learners are not only the passive learner, but they are active learners, because they are getting engaged. And the last thing is, because they are able to record data, they are able to analyze that and draw conclusions, then they get the chance to write it also, or explain the class that, or if the teacher asks that why according to you red light has major impact on photosynthesis, why not green light? So the student will answer, or every child is told to write the answer according to them, and then given the chance to explain the same in front of everyone. So by that, communication improves, and when the communication improves, then definitely virtual labs, the purpose of virtual labs is served along with other things.
You know, while you were talking about the experiments, I'm still thinking, you know, though experiments are over a while ago, I'm still thinking that if there is presence of starch, of course the leaf turn into black and blue, but white appears to be green, of course, because of presence of chlorophyll. And then it is taking me to the blood, that, you know, why red color is there, though we have white blood cells also. So, you know, I'm kind of relating concepts, and you just mentioned we need sunlight for photosynthesis. What about the indoor plants? So I kind of developing my critical thinking also. It is so exciting. But with the teaching learning process also comes the assessment. Where am I at the present moment? How much am I understanding the concepts? So I want to understand that how, you know, I should say that what consideration should be made while assessing students' learning, especially in the context of middle stage schooling and the virtual labs?
Yes. So we have seen that virtual labs help in competency based assessment, which we talked about earlier, that it gives a chance to think critically, analyze, draw conclusions. Virtual labs give all that opportunity, and it serves the purpose, or it helps in assessing students and their competency in terms of competency. But not only that, according to the latest policy of education, there are multiple ways of assessment, not only by paper pen test, not only by getting to know whether they have learnt the facts or not, but the focus should be on the holistic and multidimensional assessment. So children should not only be forced to remember the facts, but students or learners should be assessed in terms of cognitive, affective and psychomotor domains. So their emotional stability, their intellectual level, and whether they are able to utilize their body, or their means whether they are able to perform the activity efficiently or not. So all that should be assessed together. Along with that, formative assessment should be preferred over summative, because summative, in case of summative assessment, once the entire chapter or few chapters are over, then the questions are asked. But till then, many questions remain unanswered in their mind, and because of that they may lose interest. But in case of formative assessment, regularly they are being assessed, and if we get to know that that child has not understood a single particular concept, that can be explained at the same moment, and the related concepts can be easily understood by the learner after that. So that's why formative assessment is very important and should be followed in comparison to summative assessment.
Yeah.
Then the third thing is that portfolios or projects should be utilized for assessment. So creative projects should be given to them. So rather than just giving the information, like we know that restoration is being focused, sustainable utilization of resources is being focused, that petrol is limited in quantity, diesel is limited in quantity, so sustainably we should use. So we tell this information to children, but are we giving them opportunity to think about that, how sustainably these can be utilized, what are the alternatives? So all that should all that opportunity should be given to students. So that can be done by project based learning. So projects should be given emphasis, because that helps students a lot. And students should not be given such kind of projects in which they just need to find out the information on the browser and just copy down and provide it. No, they should given the chance to think. Give them a particular problem. Each child should be given, or in groups you can give different problems to children, or tell them to think about the problem. That will be even better. Just give them time of few days and tell them to just observe your surroundings and find out that what kind of problems you or neighbors around you or in your community they face. And after that you can discuss the problems and choose one of the problem for each child or for each group, allot them that problem and tell them to think about it, gather information from your surroundings, think about the solutions, multiple solutions, analyze which solution is the best, why it is best. So all that will actually make them think out of the box, and they will be even more interested in attending your class and understanding the concepts of that particular subject. We are talking about science, so I'll talk about that, as you also said, that everything is related with science around us. So it's very easy to give projects for learning the concepts. So that should definitely be focused. Then competency based assessment we have already talked about. Then peer and self assessment by activity. In case of when we are giving projects, so when we are giving projects to group of students, we are giving them chance to learn from each other. So in this case the child is learning from the member of the team, and along with that the self reflection, that why I was not able to think in that direction. So by that they will learn a lot. So definitely that should be done. And the learning outcomes, the focus should be on learning outcomes, that before the teacher is going to teach child, teacher should think about that when I am teaching this particular concept, what is the purpose of teaching this concept, what a child is going to learn. If I am teaching photosynthesis, I am not teaching for the sake of teaching. What child is getting, how child can help further. Can a child think about that farmers will be benefited, they may get benefited later on by my idea. If I have understood this concept properly, then I am able to relate problems which they face when they grow plants. So they are growing plants photosynthesize, and all these things are related. So are they thinking about the bigger picture? Also teacher first of all has to think about the bigger picture, then they can show it to children, they can fulfill the learning outcome. So their teaching and assessment should be learning outcome based. It should not be textbook based, ki this topic is given and that's why I'm teaching. That should not happen.
Of course, that should not happen. And also looking at the bigger picture is one thing, but in your everyday life also, we are consuming vegetables, we are consuming fruits, roots, shoots. You must understand how it was formed. And when you see some deformity in the stuff that you're eating, plant or vegetable, why it is like that. Also,
one more thing I want to add, like you were talking about deformity. So one thing clicked in my mind, and many times I have seen people that there is fungal growth on a particular vegetable, and what do? They don't actually know that whatever is visible outside, a lot is inside.
It's just tip of an iceberg.
Yes. So they just, what do? They just wash it, and they think that the fungus is, they don't even know it is fungus. So they just think whatever is there, that is washed off, now I can eat it. But actually, just like in case of plants, there are shoots, and underground there are roots. In the same way, in case of fungus, there are hyphae which are inside the vegetable or fruit on which it is growing. And outside we can see only fruiting bodies, the
Yeah.
upper portion. But the hyphae, which are similar to roots, they are inside the vegetable or fruit, and that's why that should not be consumed
Yeah.
rather than just washing and eating.
It happens a lot in case of potatoes.
Yes.
You know, if they're stored for a long time in unhygienic conditions or without giving them proper air, then we find some extra material over them. And we just cut it off and consume it. So I think, you know, this is the best way to relate science to your everyday life, and through virtual lab, it becomes all the more important because you're not just imagining the concepts, they're happening right there in front of you. You can visualize them. And also you talked about peer learning. You know, I can relate it to the game of Chinese whispers, where everybody's coming out with their version. So creativity flows, you all are so innovative, and you never know what point of view actually triggers that light in you or triggers that bulb in you that you come out with something new or some new innovation. I think it was a very fruitful journey, a wonderful session where we learned a lot about virtual lab for sciences, and it's not yet time for me to wrap up the session here because I talked in the beginning about the assessment courses. Yes, I told you it's a training program, and you can attempt the assessment courses if you wish to, and if you score more than 70%, you will be granted a certificate that you can download from Diksha portal. But there are certain rules to it, and there are certain ways to access those assessment courses. How it's done, I'm sure Miss Nidhi will let us know. Yeah.
Okay, so what you need to do is to attempt courses, you have to go through Diksha.
Okay.
So what are the steps that I'm going to show on my screen? So first of all, you have to open any browser. I have opened Google. You have to type Diksha.
Okay.
It has automatically taken diksha.gov.in, which is the URL of Diksha portal. Here you can see login. So you need to click on login.
Okay.
If you are coming to Diksha for the very first time, you have to register yourself. So you can see here we have register here option.
Yes.
If you have already registered yourself, you just need to log in. So I am already registered, so I am logging in myself.
This was a sign up thing that we were talking about?
Yes, so sign up means you are going to register and sign in. So right now I am doing sign in. So here, oh sorry, one second.
Not a problem. So please follow what is there on the screen, and do make sure that you attempt the courses well in time. Right. And as I told you, you have to watch the sessions very carefully. So please make sure that you are watching them again. They're there on YouTube.
So while registering, please make sure if you want to attempt course of virtual labs, you either have to choose your role as a student or teacher.
Okay.
Only students and teachers will be able to attempt this course. To others, this course will not even be visible.
All right.
So while registering, you can choose that role, or if you have already registered yourself, like I have already done. So what you can do is, here you can see this N refers to my profile. So I am clicking on this. Here you can see profile is there. Click on this profile. Then click on academic information. Scroll down. And here you can see there is role. So I have selected as student. All of us are lifelong students.
Of course, absolutely.
So you can choose either as student or as teacher, whoever you are. And then go back to profile. Here you can see there are Diksha courses. Click on Diksha courses. Then you have to write all the virtual labs are appearing here. All these are courses of virtual labs. I am clicking on biology. So this is virtual labs for teaching, learning and assessment in biology. You have to go to the particular course of your subject, whether you belong to biology, physics, chemistry, social science, whatever. You can go to that, click on it. You can see this screen has appeared. Scroll down, you can see here confirm and enroll. So click on confirm and enroll, and you will enter in the course. You have to go through the video, that is the virtual labs live sessions, and then the presentation, and then attempt assessment. Those who will get more than 70% will get the certificate.
Right. So As we have mentioned that we are lifelong students, so be a student, and this training session is open to all. Create your profile and just attempt the course. So with this, I'm wrapping up the session over here. Today on day 6, we talked about virtual lab for sciences. It was indeed a fruitful journey and quite an exciting one for all of us. I'm sure it was. And thank you so much for your time and contribution to the session. We learned a lot. I hope you too have benefited from this entire conversation of ours. But what's happening on day 7? Let's have a look. Virtual lab for social sciences. Well, I wouldn't have fathomed it, but now it's there. Let's see what all it provides. So that was our umbrella series on integration of virtual labs for teaching, learning and assessment at the middle stage. It's wrapping up for this day, but before I leave, let's give you some more information. It's about the textbooks now, which are available on Amazon, Flipkart and NCERT website. I'm talking about grade 4 and 7 specifically. And what's coming ahead in the day? Well, let's see the schedule, and here we go. In a short while from now, you can watch a session on teaching, learning and of course inclusive classrooms, teaching, learning interventions. Maths is going to be the subject. At 2 p.m. we will bring you a session of Urdu followed by a session of Hindi at 2:30. 3 p.m. we will bring you a session of EVS. We will learn about living together, and 3:30 p.m. will be time for English, where we will learn about some kind of bells. 4 to 5 p.m. is the time for our online training program. Today is going to be day 2 of open educational resources. That is the theme for this week's training program, and we will end the day with our session Sahyog. With this, it's a wrap. This is me, Harpreet Kaur, taking leave of you. Namaskar.